specific pipelines. The big thing is, with us generating leads, on a pretty much daily basis, we want to make sure that we're really trying to focus in on converting those leads to the highest rate possible, right? So when the lead comes in, we know that the new lead conversion plan automatically activates. First thing it does is, activate a call and an auto e-alert. I want to go over the auto e-alert side first, just because I think that's the most important part of really utilizing that tool. Obviously, I'm here in Denver, and raise a hand or show of hands in Denver who actively activates the e-alerts as soon as the lead comes in. Within the first couple hours, hopefully. Okay. Gigi, you do not raise your hand.
I don't do that.
Why don't you do that?
I wait for it to do it.
It doesn't always do the automatic e-alert. Right? Not every time.
I was gonna ask, why doesn't it? I noticed on someone's yesterday.
They physically have to go in there and look at multiple different properties and actually activate the search for them. Be able to actually have the search come through for us to be able to see. Otherwise, it'll show which properties that they're looking at, but sometimes you'll see that they don't have an e-alert set up. So the big thing for me, guys, is that when a lead comes in, the first thing I'm doing, hopefully within the first couple hours, I mean, realistically, sometimes you just can't get around to it, but making sure they have an e-alert set up, obviously, is the number one thing for myself. Making sure that the criteria of the e-alert is essentially what they're actually looking for. So we can go back and see, and hopefully they've looked at 4 or 5 properties to kind of get a good grasp on kind of the location, the price point, the type of or style of home that they're looking at. And from there, making sure the criteria is somewhat mirrored towards that, what they're actually looking for. So if you can't even get a hold of them throughout that whole process of a new lead conversion, at least you automatically have a search that's being sent out to them on a daily basis. From there, the hope is you guys are having some type of conversation, whether it be through text or phone call or even email. And then from there, making sure they're actually receiving the e-alert itself. Make sure it's actually open. If it's not open, the whole point of e-alert is kind of goes out the window, right? And everyone has those leads that really they just don't ever open it, and you have no idea how to even get in contact with them. But at least if they're opening them, they have that information. Hopefully down the road, they like the property enough where they'll reach out to you. I've had that happen multiple times. Hopefully you guys have too, but it's just one more piece that you guys can utilize. Next thing I want to talk about is really utilizing the e-alert for the frequency of when you're sending out the homes to your clients. If you've had a conversation with somebody and they are very adamant about being in a specific neighborhood, they have really specific criteria, those types of people, don't set them up on daily alerts. Set them up on instant every time. Daily, it's just not going to be enough, not fast enough for them to actually get the alert. Set them up on instant, and then they're automatically going to get that search as soon as it hits the MLS and gets fed on over to, obviously, our Boomtown system. Even if they're, within probably 20 homes or less on the search, that's kind of my rule of thumb. They have 20 homes or less on the search criteria that they either have set up for themselves, or they have set up for, if you guys have set up, put it on instant. Because that means as soon as the property is generated, it'll automatically go over to them. Make sense? Yeah. Are you guys doing that now? I know I sent it out to everybody on Slack a while ago.
I never put them on instant, but I could probably search when there's like a low.
Yeah, I've been doing it too. It's like auto. Sometimes it is if they actually want that, but other times it just defaults to daily. Yeah, and I would just start kind of using that as a rule of thumb for especially any new leads that do come in. It just helps give them more, in-your-face homes if they, obviously are not responding to any of the touches that were given to them. Let's see here. So from there, any other specific questions from anybody? I know there's a couple people in the Springs. Is anybody on from Phoenix? Any other, situational questions you guys want to ask in regards to how to, really utilize the e-alerts? Gigi?
So there's some people that are looking for like such specific stuff that I just don't feel like I can do that through the alert. Like one thing that I get into trouble with is I have a few clients that need like first level access, and I don't understand it, or I don't know how to set it up.
Okay. So here's an example. If you scroll down, I'm sure you guys have all gone through this enough times, setting up the alerts. And they have those, they have those for you. They have obviously condo, townhouse, obviously single family home and a couple other ones. I tend to tend to go strictly to single family condos and townhomes based off the conversation that I've had or of what I think they're looking for. The next thing I do is go down and actually put in, bedrooms, bathrooms. If I haven't had a conversation, I'm usually defaulting to either 2-2 or 3-2 based off of if you're looking at single family or condos or townhomes. And then, if there's so many properties that are coming up, I hate sitting on over 60 plus properties because I just think it's too overwhelming. They're never going to go through 60 properties. So I try to limit it to probably right around 40 to 45 at the most. The ways to do that, you can type in the acreage, you can do story square feet based off of what they're looking for. A garage space is a big one for me. I'll typically do 2-car garage, which will eliminate anywhere between 10 to 15 homes right out the gate. I tend not to really worry about a lot of the property features, community features, exterior features, or interior features because they can just do a really poor job with putting this information on the MLS. And when it gets feeded over to our Boomtown, you don't want to eliminate property that they may be interested in. So only really utilize this if they tell you, I want this specifically, finished basement, or they need to have a basement, unfinished. Those types of things will all actually add in where hopefully it's specific enough that they're receiving all the properties within that criteria. And then Gigi, to answer your question, so you can actually go in and do, let's see here.
Can I do like keywords like first floor?
Yeah, and there's actually this right here. So there's actually ranch, 1 story, there's first floor unit under style. Two plus, 2 floor or second floor plus unit. There's different styles. Obviously you want to be very cautious about this because obviously somebody's not going to put a Spanish style home, on the actual MLS listing. If you click that, it's probably going to eliminate 99% of them. So, but for condos and townhomes, first floor unit, even probably more specifically for condos, first floor unit, if that's what they're specifically looking for, that's an easy go-to, and that's pretty accurate. Yeah, you can do keywords. There's a keyword search there. Again, you want to be very cautious about what you're putting in. But if you wanted to do first floor unit and then say, I need to have a remodeled kitchen or updated kitchen, or as is, any of those things you can do, but the more that you do them, just kind of keep in mind that, the agent probably didn't do a good enough job that you're thinking of, right? So you don't want to limit all the properties. You might just want to maybe compare, RE Colorado or your MLS, Boomtown, just to make sure that the properties are being over correctly.
So I've never used the keyword search. How would you use that?
So I have a very specific client that's looking for a single floor townhome. She doesn't want to have any stairs. She's on the older side, but she wants to have low maintenance living, but her budget doesn't allow her to do patio home type mentality. So for Boomtown, I'm literally doing single floor townhome. I'm going on the MLS first, typing in that in the public remarks and seeing what comes up, and then I'm comparing it to Boomtown to see if it actually is relatable to that. So if there's 4 on the MLS, I want to make sure there's at least 4 on Boomtown that's coming over. If it's not, I probably won't be that specific on Boomtown. I'll hunt down more specific properties on the MLS and email those on over to my client. Make sense? Any other questions in regards to e-alerts, guys? Does everybody feel like they have a pretty good grasp on the importance of it? Obviously why we do it, why it's so important to get it activated as soon as possible, and so on.
Yeah, one other question. If we're dealing with government property, one high dollar property, over how much low that one place is in.
Yeah, we've all had those leads that come through that they only look at one property, is what Sam's asking. I tend to do more of a broader search. Say they look at a $1.2 million property in Highlands Ranch, for an example. I'll specifically kind of draw a circle, probably a 10-mile radius around Highlands Ranch, and we'll do probably $200,000, $300,000 below, $2,000, $3,000 above. The reality is those types of people are probably not going to be very active on our search. But again, if we can get them to open up the search and then actually have a conversation, you can have a deeper dive into what their actual criteria is. right? So that's the biggest thing, is just making sure you do something rather than nothing, because you just never know if you can't get a hold of somebody, but they're obviously active on the e-alert itself. One big thing too, these e-alerts, they go to spam probably 90% of the time. So if you see you've had a good conversation with somebody, and the next day you pull up and you change that category to either watch or nurture, and you don't see that the search has been open, make sure that you guys are reaching out to these people to tell them, hey, if you don't see that search come through your inbox, it probably went to spam. Again, if it's in spam, they're probably not looking at it, and then you're missing out on those opportunities because you had a conversation, you told them where it was, they're probably thinking, oh, they never sent it over. They forgot about it. So make sure you have that conversation. You shoot them a quick text like, hey, client, we talked yesterday, I want to make sure, sometimes it does go to spam, so let me know, and maybe put a follow-up to do the next day to go in there and make sure that the has been opened. Yeah, and even set the expectation, Yeah, John said, hey, even when you're having that conversation, make sure to mention like, hey, sometimes it does go to spam, so if you don't, definitely take a look there within probably 20 to 30 minutes. Any other questions from any of the other offices?
Yeah, so Matt, this is Gordon. One question I have, I came in right as you were talking about at the very beginning about the system e-alert.
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing, like, you're not doing a system e-alert, you're actually creating an alert for them, is what it sounds like?
So if they come through on the system, I'm refining that the best way I can. So I'm actually looking at the previous property that they've had. The nice part of what Boomtown has been doing the last month, they've taken away when it goes through, it used to go, have all the under contracts, the solds, and it would be like, 300 properties. So now they've taken those properties away, which refines it down to the actual ones that are currently in the market. But if there's still, 70 or 80 properties, I want to get that down to the point where they're not going to be overwhelmed on a day-to-day basis when these properties are being emailed them on over to them. So I'll try to narrow it down to probably less than 50 is probably realistic, and then just see kind of what criteria that they put in for themselves and see if I need to tweak anything on their behalf. I don't do that if I haven't actually had a conversation with the potential client. But once I have the conversation, you're going to be able to go through that search criteria with them, and then completely probably change it based off of what their realistic expectations think they can approve for, and then hopefully you've earned their business by having a little more in-depth rapport building sessions with them.
Okay, so you're not waiting for that system, because what I've noticed is probably over the last month maybe, that system alert used to take just a couple hours to get going, but now it's almost like a 24-hour delay.
I haven't had an issue on my end, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm usually pulling up the lead within the first couple hours, and they usually have the e-alert automatically set up. What I'll do, I'll reach out to Boomtown and just see if that was an anomaly, or if they actually have a specific timeline of when that system e-alert is set up, because that'd be good information, I'm sure, for everybody in here. We don't want to obviously have too many e-alerts set up if we can already take advantage of the one that they're setting up for themselves. So I'll reach out to Boomtown and let you know what they have to say about that.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, guys, before I kind of get into the next thing here?
No.
Good. All right. So I've talked about this with probably the majority of you guys, but the biggest thing with the e-alert, or not the e-alerts, but the campaigns that we have for each category, they are supposed to be an umbrella for everybody within the organization. To them. So the one thing I really want to emphasize is if you have a conversation with somebody and say they're in the watch or nurture status, make sure that you're putting in a custom to do. If you had a conversation, you don't want to wait either a week for nurture or 2 weeks for watch to follow up with that person. Otherwise, if you don't put a custom to do in for yourself, it's going to wait that week or 2 weeks, and it might be a couple days too long where they reached out to somebody else because they were expecting a call from you. So that's one big thing I've really tried to tailor into my personal business, is trying to customize every person individually rather than having the campaigns just be self-ran, which it's great to have as reminders, but you have an in-depth conversation with somebody and they tell you to follow up with them in 2 or 3 days, make sure that you guys are putting that into your system, or even in your, on your calendar, to make sure to give yourself a reminder to be able to touch base with them. These people are, we all know this, they are very unloyal. They don't know you from the next person. So the more that you can do to build a relationship with these people up front, the more likely you're going to have, more chance you're going to have to be able to actually earn their business long term. You know, with these leads coming in, especially the ones from Boomtown, they're probably right around that 6-month range from actually converting to an actual real deal. So it's going to take time, you know, and these campaigns and these watch and nurture statuses are very crucial, but you got to take it one step further if you actually want to, you know, convert some of these leads that you may have just had a brief conversation with. So the more that and build a relationship and build rapport with them, obviously you're going to have a better opportunity of earning their business at the end of the day, and that's what we're all trying to go for. You know, so, you know, with us kind of running the calculations on a 1%, 1.5% conversion rate when we fully switched over to Boomtown, the hope is that this is just more of a pipeline filler, and that you guys are doing obviously the other avenues within your guys' pillars of business. You know, some of the leads you have great conversations with, some of them take a little more time to be able to actually qualify and nurture, but with you actually doing your touches and doing your to-dos, that's the whole point of why we have the Boomtown system in place. In regards to customization, I mean, does anybody have any questions on how to custom add a to-do, or, you know, what that actually means? You know, any situational questions that you guys would want to ask me?
This is not necessarily related to custom to-dos, but I'm curious where you feel like you're having the best conversations with leads. Is it that first time you reach out? Is it the 7th time you reach out? Is it second time you talk to them? Is it after they started doing stuff on, you know, on the computer? Like, when are you feeling like you're having the best traction with talking with them or texting them or whatever?
It's obviously going to be on a situational basis. For me, I mean, I try to tailor a lot of my conversations around the different times of day. So, I mean, if I get a lead on a Tuesday at, you know, 9 o'clock in the morning, I'll call them just because I know that they're looking on our website at that moment. If I'm not available, I might wait a little while towards after 5 o'clock when they're at their home for the day and they're actually have a little more time to talk. The best conversion rate I have for conversations is going to be on the weekends, guys. I mean, I know we can't expect you guys to work 7 days a week. Unfortunately, real estate, you just, you know, you have to make, you know, put your hours in when you can. But for me, I mean, I'm in here Saturday and Sunday, just, you know, even an hour out of the day, just knocking out my 20, 30 to-dos. And I can honestly say I probably have more conversations and more successful conversations that lead into appointments on those 2 days, because they're just not working. They're not doing anything. It's their chance to be able to relax. And for us to be able to follow up with them, hopefully they understand that, hey, I'm putting in the hours in when you're not, when other people are not. So I would highly recommend, if you're not having the successes during the 5-day work week, switch up the times of day that you guys are calling these people. You know, try to do it maybe early in the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, or even after 5 o'clock at night. And if you're still not having that success, switch it up to the weekends. Come in. I mean, I always say between 10 and 1 on a Saturday, and anytime after probably 1 o'clock on a Sunday. You know, people have church on Sunday, so I try to do it right around 1 o'clock or after. And we'll end up having a lot more conversations during those 2 days, just because people will have a lot more flexibility with their schedules, not having work.
And how do you interact with the Now tab?
So yeah, we'll go ahead and play into the Now tab right now. I mean, so it's such an easy feature, guys. I mean, this is one thing. If you have searches set up for everybody, I mean, take advantage of this. I mean, this is pretty much where these people are looking. I mean, you can go on here right when you log into Boomtown, and it automatically shows you how active, you know, people are, especially if you haven't had a conversation with people in, I don't know, let's call it a couple of weeks. You can go on here and say, hey, this person just looked at this property within, you know, 5 hours ago. Why would you not call them if you haven't been able to get a hold of them? You know, if they're actively looking at this property, I mean, this person, as an example, 1.15 million. Why am I not calling this person? Right? I haven't had a conversation with her in probably months due to the holidays and whatever situation it was before that all happened. But 1.15 million, I mean, that's a pretty dang good opportunity, and that's her second view in the last 24 hours. And then that'll show you guys. I mean, that'll show you exactly. That'll show you exactly how many times they're looking at it. They favorite the property. You know how you know often they're looking at it in regards to how long ago they looked at it. But it's an easy excuse, and that's really what you need with these leads. You know, if you're already doing all your touches, sometimes you just need an extra excuse, and it's an easy conversation. Hey, you looked up this property on Huffleberry on our website. What are your thoughts? You know, I said, it looked like you saw it a couple different times. It sounds like it was something you may be interested in looking. How's your schedule look? You know, I mean, I don't know if you guys all look at it in here in Denver, but I need to do a better job personally with myself doing it. But when I do look at it, it's such an easy conversation because they know exactly what I'm talking about, especially when the ones that are actually favoriting the properties. So if you're not doing that, highly recommend using that as an extra excuse to be able to reach out to your clients, especially if you haven't been able to get a hold of them. Even send them a quick text like, hey, I saw that you were looking at the property on Ceylon. I mean, is there a good time this weekend that you want to take a look at it? You know, and then another thing that you guys can do, and you've had conversations with people that are like, oh, I don't want to look anything for another 6 months. Okay, well, you probably don't reach out to them for that 6 months. Well, put a custom to do in your Boomtown underneath their name for 3 months out, you know, and just to do a touch, say, hey, just want to follow up and see if anything had changed. Because 6 months is a long time. Their situation may have changed, and I've had that happen multiple times, and it's so infuriating knowing that all I had to do was just touch them maybe a couple weeks, couple months prior, and I would have got their business. So don't lose those opportunities just because someone says 6 months. Make sure they know, hey, I'm here to earn your business. What can I do to do that?
I set up or I go into the email template and make my own email templates of stuff that I send out a lot, or just like little snippet emails, you know what I mean? Like, hey, how am I doing? Like anything I need to change? And it's just like, not anything super salesy, but it's like another reason that they're seeing my email, you know what I mean? So say they've been looking at stuff, but I haven't really been able to get them on the phone. I send the like, anything I need to change, or how am I doing, or things to know before you buy a house, or, you know, random shit.
Yeah, it's just more value, and that's what this really needs to be. It needs to be about the value proposition, because like I said, there's no loyalty until you're in their business 110%, right? And even when that happens, you still don't know what could happen. So the more little things that you can do to create more value is the more chance that you are to actually get them out looking at houses. They can meet you face to face, either it be looking at houses or even at a coffee shop. I mean, face to face appointments. I mean, I hope everybody is here to convert a lead at least 50% of the time when they have a face to face appointment. If they can't, I don't, you know, we'll have to have that conversation. But I know you guys are good enough to be able to do that. So that's ultimately the goal, is just to get face to face with them however you can, and, you know, whatever way possible. I mean, that's a great little tidbit there. I mean, it's a value proposition. Hey, what can I do? Is there anything I can change with the search? Simple questions that people appreciate in case they didn't have all the correct information on the criteria search. So, you know, easy thing to do there. Sam.
So when they say 6 months out to a year, I've been asking if they can just follow up once a month. Is that too much to follow up if they're that far out?
You asked them, right?
Yeah.
So if you're asking them, I mean, based off of their response, that's how I would play it out. So if they say, hey, don't worry about it, and follow up with me in a couple months, okay, I'll follow up with me in a couple months. They don't give you an exact response, then I'm kind of cutting that time in half. They tell me 6, I'm following up within 3. They tell me a year, I'm following up within 6. You know, so kind of use that as kind of a rule of thumb. That's worked out for me since I kind of changed my strategy on it. And again, I mean, are they really going to be mad at you if you reach out to them, right? I mean, that's the big question, especially if they're actively looking at properties on the e-alert. How are they really going to be upset that you followed up to see if, you know, how are things going? No, they're not. If they are, move on to the next one. You know, it's probably not even worth your time. So that kind of leads me to my next one. A lot of these leads are not going to be worth your time. If you feel that way, get them the hell out of your pipeline. Trash. You know, trash should be your best friend. If you can get an FU or any type of response back from these leads that you feel like it's not worth pursuing, get them out of there. We're generating so many damn leads, you know, on multiple different avenues right now. We need to focus on what's the most important thing, is getting responses from people that you actually can be building a relationship with and helping them to buy or sell a house, right? So take advantage of the trash category. Don't waste time doing more to-dos than you need to do.
And I would just say, that's a beautiful thing about having a great e-alert and checking your now tab, is if you are quick to trash, 6 months down the road, you may see someone in trash looking at properties, and then that way you shouldn't be afraid to trash them, because you know it'll come back around if they're serious.
So they do come back around.
Yeah.
But if you're checking the now tab and they have e-alerts set up, or even if they don't, but they come back to the website and start searching, You're checking the now tab, you see people marked as trash in the now tab, it's a reason to reach back out.
So I guess the good thing, you know, because like in my head, you're like, oh, I don't want to trash these people right away, even though they're kind of dicks, because they might pan out, and I don't want to waste the money that's stuff.
Alert, make sure it's open. Like, hey, listen, you had a bad conversation, they told you to F off, just send them a quick text, hey, listen, I get it, I'm not trying to bombard you with any questions, but I'm gonna email you on over some properties, let me know what I can do to help. That simple, right? They tell you to F off again, okay, at least you got the email out. So, I mean, here's a perfect example right here, guys. I mean, this person, clearly, phone number does not work. They reached out to me probably a month ago, and you can tell how active they've been on the web activity. I mean, 37 visits, 38 properties, 2 favorites, and they're looking, I think, up to 700 in Highlands Ranch. Actually haven't had a conversation with them on the phone due to the fact that they don't have a working number, but I've been having email conversations with them because they've been looking at properties. So that helps. Now my job, okay, I need to get an active phone number, right? So that's the next goal. Give me a timeline of when you're looking. So that's always going to be the biggest thing for you guys, is try to get the alert set up. That's the most crucial thing, I think, with these leads. And then from there, you might have the opportunity of just putting them in trash. You don't have to waste your time, and then getting an email response a couple months later just because you did your job. You went the extra mile to actually be a resource for these guys. So, make sense?
Yeah.
Gordon, Doug, make sense out there? Okay.
Yeah, Gordon chatted, yes.
Okay, cool. So next thing, guys, so we're gonna change a couple things. So, we had some extra opportunities for a tier 2, tier 3 levels. It was called Ava. It was an automatic text messaging company that essentially when the lead would go in, it would filter through a third-party company called Ava. They would text our leads on our behalf. We just realized that we could probably do a lot better job. So what we did is we took all the text message campaigns that we felt were worth it, and we created our own, and we're going to implement that for every agent in our organization. So that's all going to be going live here probably within the next week and a half. And so there's going to be 2 separate campaigns. There'll be your email and call campaign, and then there'll be your automatic text message campaign for every lead that comes in underneath the new category. And the cool part is, as soon as the lead responds, whether it be a wrong phone number or yes, I'm interested, it automatically pauses, and you guys will obviously get the notification as long as your notifications are turned on your phone or computer, and you guys can take over that conversation from there. The way I look at it is, I don't want somebody else doing my job for me. I know if I'm having a conversation, I can do a lot better job than a third-party company that's probably just sitting at a computer typing in automated responses. So that's kind of where we're at with everything. Hopefully it pans out kind of in our eyes. We've had such a half-ass experience with Ava, so we just realized if we can do it that much better, give you guys more opportunities, especially for the people that haven't had the auto experience before. Hopefully you guys are having better conversations and at least some more deals.
So Matt, once Ava's gone, will they continue to finish out those that are in their campaigns, or how's that going to work?
Yes,
or do we know?
We actually already canceled the service, and I think your campaign will run through the 20th of February. So as of right now, I don't want to overlap. So you're still receiving the leads. Then even after the 20th of February, it will still work the leads that they're currently working. So they might still have a couple other conversations, but any new leads that do come in to your pipeline, they'll be worked up until the 20th of February. And that's when we'll actually activate the auto text campaign onto your guys' Boomtown for you. We don't want to have any overlap and having multiple different voices reach out to them if we can avoid that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions with that? Yeah.
How do, if I'm adding new people, how do I make it not automatically send them something if they're not, somebody that's from, they're not Boomtown, obviously?
Yeah, so if you're adding in a lead, guys, what we're gonna do, we're gonna change the categories to not automatically send them out either a text, email, or even create a new campaign or a new phone call to do until 10 minutes after that lead is generated. So within that 10 minutes, hopefully you're changing the category to something else. Hopefully that lead, that's the reason why you're putting them in there, and you're changing it to that category that you feel is best appropriate for that lead. And then if that's not the case, you can go ahead, if you don't want Boomtown to follow up with them, you can go ahead and terminate or pause the specific campaign as well. It'll automatically be activated, but it won't actually send out an email or text message until 10 minutes afterwards. That make sense?
And then obviously you can auto add them to a different, like if you don't add them to buyer, but you add them to buyer or seller, they won't get auto assigned in this campaign as well. But if you do want to add them to buyer, then like you said, just terminate them, whatever within.
Yeah. So last thing I really want to focus on, guys, is just putting in better notes into your Boomtown leads.
Yeah.
I mean, I know how many leads that I'm getting. I know a lot of other people are getting a lot, just bombarded with leads on a day-to-day basis. Put notes in, you know, I mean, if you haven't had a conversation with them, you obviously know that, but if you've had even a 10-second conversation, add that into your notes. So when you're going back to that lead the next day or a couple days later for your next touch, you can go back in and see, hey, this person hung up on me. This person said this person said that. So it's a lot easier conversation the next time, you know. It'll save you guys a whole lot of time too, because, you know, for me, I mean, this is one thing that I did a terrible job at for the longest time is I would go through my pipeline and forget half of the conversations that I had with people, you know, and at that point, that doesn't look good when I'm reaching out and they're having to remind me on what they told me before. So, you know, I don't know how many else experiences that, but just put in notes. That is literally what it is for. You know, add it in up here, you know, description, which this person obviously doesn't have one, so I need to go in there and do that. You know, and then from there, you can go back to your summary and just add in, you know, if you had a phone call, you can put it in the call notes. If you had a text message conversation, you do that. But take advantage of this page. The page is to be kind of your lifeline for every contact within your pipeline. I mean, this history tab, guys, I mean, it shows everything that is being done or has been done, you know, throughout the life of this lead. So it makes your life a whole lot easier. That is the ultimate goal for, you know, what we're trying to accomplish here is really simplify this for you guys and provide more and more leverage, which hopefully, you know, we'll continue to do. That's really what I wanted to go over today, guys. I mean, situational questions. I want to find if anybody has any specifics they want to ask me on what I do, or just do a little bit of a Q&A. John, you got one there?
I just had something that I do after the new convert that will reach them, and I know their email is good. I just put them on a bad number qualification plan, just so
Yeah.
it keeps hitting them without you having to do anything.
Of course,
So
yeah.
email.
Yeah, so John was saying, guys, if they know the phone number is bad and the email is good, there is a bad number qualification plan. We don't have it as an automated one, but if you go through, and I'll kind of show you real quick, right here, if you add a plan, you can go find it in this, you know, in this section, relevant bad number qualification plan. And what it's doing is just sending them emails. It's just trying to get some type of response back. So, you know, a lot of these leads have, you know, bad phone numbers. So take advantage of those, you know, those emails that we're sending out on your behalf, rather than just letting the new campaign, you know, go on and you just having these automated touches, you know, continue to reach out and you just adding on more and more to-dos on a day-to-day basis. So
I also do it after like the new runs even have a good phone number, maybe talk to them and they ghost you.
Yeah.
Just keep, so I don't have to like touch them myself and then send them emails. And sometimes they retract. Then I'll throw them an archive for another bunch of emails. So I'm just saving them all year round without doing anything.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, once new ends, I throw in that number, then I throw in an archive.
Yeah.
Then I'm done with it.
Yeah, I mean, take advantage of the campaigns, guys. And if you're not getting any traction with phone calls or text messages, who knows if they're even receiving the emails? But if they are, I mean, you can tell if they open an email. But I mean, that just gives you more and more opportunities to be able to get some type of response back, and it's effortless. You're not sending them out. We're sending them out on your behalf. Why not do it, right? And that's really what you have to ask yourself. If you don't have to worry about it, out of sight, out of mind, and you get a response back, icing on the cake.
I do get a good amount of response.
Yeah. John says he gets, you know, quite a bit of responses back, so take advantage of those as well.
They'll be like, I tried calling you, and you're like, oh, sorry, I didn't get the number, or,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not ready, or,
Yeah, and it feels good. You know, it feels good that you didn't have to do anything. You got a response back, you know, for having absolutely no work, you know, work onto it at all. I mean, you got the response just by, you know, adding on the correct campaign. That's really what it comes down to. So, any other questions here, guys? Doug, Gordon, Springs, you guys have any specifics? Nope. Okay, so if there's something that comes up, I mean, don't hesitate to ask. You know, I think we're really trying to own in on making sure that it's fluent between all three of our different locations. we're gonna be constantly reevaluating and changing things as it comes up and presents itself. So we'll just make sure to, be an open book. And if there's stuff that you guys like, Gordon and Doug, I'm planning on sending you guys down that AVA campaign that we're gonna be rolling out to everybody. And I want to get your guys' input since you guys are really, working as many leads as we're working up here. And same thing for Phoenix, if those guys are on. So let me know what your guys' feedback is for that. And then, yeah, we'll just plan on touching base once we get that rolled out. Good? All right, guys. All right, Sarah, yeah, let's sit down. What?
There are two little notifications in the bottom. I could have exited out of them, so they would, they wouldn't be.